remember how national security was a huge part of the 2004 election. It was all about national security. It was all about who's going to be tough. Who's going to be tough, who's going to shoot first, ask questions later, and how do we maintain a facade of strength. In 2004, that is basically what the presidential races sounded like. It didn't really sound off on anything like poverty. It didn't sound off on the failures of the Bush administration. It was simply, who's going to protect our borders? Who's going to make sure that September 11th never happens again? But now, switch 4 years later. Some of those issues are still kind of dominating this race, but we hear from Republicans all over the place that Obama would be soft on terrorism, and that by comparison, McCain would be tougher on terrorism, having seen war. Well, also the other part about this is there were Bush Jr. put sanctions on Iran. Obama put sanctions on Iran that expedited and crippled the Ayatollah's economy. And they're working. Mitt Romney even agreed with that very fact. When Benghazi happened, people said that it's the Obama foreign policy falling before our very eyes. And then came Syria. And Vladimir Putin was given veto power over certain things, working with us with sanctions, working with us with Syria, or behind the scenes with President Obama, trying to figure out a diplomatic solution. And we get them. And we get some kind of an agreement, some kind of a solution. But you remember what those Republicans sounded like in 2004 and in 2008 and also in 2012. They weren't about speak softly and carry a big stick. All they were about was, we're not going to speak at all. We're just going to hammer you in the head with that stick, and then we're going to take your lunch money. President Obama has also, with thoughtful diplomacy, can't say the same thing for the NSA spying part, but that's in the NDAA, but those are valid criticisms. But the thoughtful diplomacy of this president makes me a little more comfortable with his foreign policy and foreign policy decisions, especially with Syria and Iran, as we're seeing the Iranian president deal with the reality of this nuclear program and hopefully abandoning it. But this would never have happened under George Bush because of the simple fact that George Bush was one of those simple-minded Texans that think that America can bully its way onto the world stage. Now, America is very influential, yes, but that does not mean that we can use our pulpit as a bully pulpit all the time. We can't always go into a place and just run it. What we need, this president has given us clear direction in foreign policy. While all foreign policy isn't always agreeable, at least we can say that under President McCain, this might not have happened. This probably would never have happened. But with President Obama steady at the helm, in affairs of foreign and domestic policy, he has been a consistent and clear leader. Someone who understands the long game. When people were criticizing him about Syria, they did not know what was going on. And then we get Vladimir Putin talking with Syria and getting it to agree to drop its chemical weapons. But Syria's civil war is in fact a war of their own. They have to fight that, and they have to win that out. That has to be fought. And Iran now. This new development is quite amazing, because this would never have happened had we listened to the Republicans in Congress. Had we listened to Republicans in Congress, we would still more likely be hated. More than we are now, I'll tell you that, because a lot of people hate us. But I think that this thoughtful diplomacy has shown that yes, we can speak softly and carry a big stick once again. But we need to speak softly first. And that is what Obama's done. If Obama is too calm, they call him lazy. But if Obama's too aggressive, he's angry. He's an angry black man. And after all, any way you figure, the president's black, so who cares? But this guy, with a lot of what he's been able to do with foreign policy in our interactions with other countries, the thoughtful approach always wins. You don't always have to bash something over. You don't always have to confront with brute force to win the day. Thank you for letting me talk to you, YouTube.